The ghost call. A 911 dispatcher receives a cryptic distress call from her own neighborhood. By sunrise, she'll discover her missing sister floating in a tank of green fluid beneath the city. And the only person who can explain why is her best friend, now holding a gun to her head. 13 hours earlier. Emma's fingers, nails bitten short, tap rhythmically against the edge of the matte black console. Her headset glow light reflects in her dilated pupils. The digital clock flickers from 2:13 to 2:14 a.m. Dual monitors show static maps of Portland. The rain lashing against the tinted windows of the dispatch center creates a white noise that fills the space between her ears and the hum of cooling fans. She's been on shift for 6 hours. Outside, the city is asleep. Inside the Portland 911 dispatch center, everything is waiting. Waiting for someone to crash their car, waiting for someone to overdose, waiting for someone to scream. The red bar flashes on the primary screen. Incoming call, unknown. Emma's hand darts to the mouse. The cursor drags across the screen with a sharp, jittery motion. She clicks accept. The call connects with a high-pitched digital chirp. 911, what is the address of your emergency? Her voice is mechanical but urgent, the kind of voice trained to absorb trauma without flinching. On the other end, there's static. Then, a heavy rasping sound. A sharp, wet thud. Emma presses the headset closer to her ear, feeling the plastic cup dig into her jaw. A woman's whisper cuts through. The Larkspurs. They have the key. Ma'am, what is your location? What is your emergency? Emma's eyes are already widening, her pupils dilating further. Her fingers hover over the keyboard, ready to type, ready to dispatch, ready to save. The line goes dead with a loud, digital crackle. Emma's fingers fly across the keys. Larkspur. Key. Larkspur. Her breathing has changed. It's faster now. Shallower. The location ping settles on her screen and her stomach drops. 1402 Oak Street. Hawthorne neighborhood. That's the house across from hers. Emma's known that house for 11 months. It's a Victorian mansion with black shutters and a wrought iron fence. She's seen the family come and go, professional types, all of them. The Larkspurs. They wave sometimes when she walks to her car at dawn. Normal people living normal lives. She rips the headset off her head. The plastic snaps against the desk. She grabs her jacket from the back of the chair, blue denim stained with coffee and cigarette smoke. Her reflection in the dark monitor shows a face masked in adrenaline. Eyes too wide, jaw too tight. She doesn't call it in. A dispatcher calling in a personal tip to her own neighborhood at 2:14 a.m.? The questions would start. The protocol would begin. By the time they finished asking her name and badge number, the moment would be gone. She moves through the dispatch center like a ghost. Nobody's watching. Everyone's watching their own screens, their own emergencies, their own small wars against chaos. Her car is a rusted Toyota Corolla. The engine coughs when she turns the key, then roars to life. The city is different at 3 a.m. The streets are wider. The shadows are deeper. The rain falls at a sharper angle. Emma pulls into the neighborhood 10 minutes later. She parks 2 blocks away from Oak Street and approaches on foot. The pendant is in her jacket pocket, though she doesn't know that yet. Her black leather boots sink into the wet mulch beneath the Larkspur's Victorian porch. She crouches low, the shadow of the porch looming over her like a rib cage. She clicks on a small tactical flashlight. Equipment from her days as a reserve officer, days she'd thought were behind her. The lattice work beneath the porch is rotting. She pushes aside a loose piece, and it splinters in her hand. Her breath comes out in white plumes. The crawl space beneath is dark and smells of earth and mold and something else. Something chemical. She reaches in, her hand covered in a black latex glove. Her fingers brush against something metallic and cold. The pendant comes free with a soft scraping sound. It's vintage brass, worn smooth by decades of handling. The metal is encrusted with dried, brownish-red blood. She clicks the clasp. It pops open. Inside is a tiny, square piece of microfilm. Emma holds it to the light. Coordinate Block 7 is etched in microscopic letters. But there's more. The microfilm isn't just data. It's a list of names, handwritten in red ink. The first name is Sarah Lincoln, Emma's sister, the one who disappeared 10 years ago. The one who's been missing so long that Emma had stopped expecting her to come home. The one her parents won't talk about, won't acknowledge, won't bury. Emma's hands are trembling as she holds the film to the light. Sarah's name is underlined. Twice. Deep pressure marks in the ink. A heavy footstep thuds on the porch boards directly above her head. Dust falls into her eyes. She freezes, turning off the flashlight in one palm smack. Darkness. Pitch black. The sound of a door lock clicking open on the porch above. Emma shoves the pendant into her jacket pocket and backs out of the crawl space, moving on her haunches through the wet mulch. She doesn't stand. She doesn't run. She crawls like an animal, like something hunting or hunted, until she reaches the edge of the property line. Then she moves. The alley behind Oak Street is a throat of shadows. Emma sprints toward the street where she parked, her boots splashing through puddles that haven't drained from the rain. Behind her, a door slams. A man emerges from the darkness. Large, gray tracksuit. His fingers clawing at the collar of her jacket as he lunges. She tries to pull away, but he's got her. The fabric tears. She feels cold air on her neck and a surge of pure animal panic. He slams her against a rusted dumpster. The metal groans under her back. He raises a thick arm to strike, and she can see the black outline of his fist against the neon light from a store 2 blocks away. His face is obscured by a surgical mask. "Give it back, little bird," he rasps, the words muffled but clear. Emma drives her knee into his groin. The strike is instinctive, born from years of training and pure survival instinct. He buckles, his fist dropping. She grabs a discarded glass bottle from the top of the trash, a brown beer bottle still half full, and smashes it against the side of his head. The glass shatters in slow motion, each shard catching the streetlight as it falls. He screams, a guttural sound that echoes off the brick walls. His blood mixes with the rain on the ground. Emma shoves him away and bolts toward her car. She fumbles the key into the ignition. The engine coughs, sputtering, refusing. Her hands are shaking so badly she can barely grip the key. Behind her, she hears his footsteps recovering. Getting louder, the engine roars to life. The Toyota's tires spin, kicking up a plume of wet gravel and exhaust. Emma guns it, eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. The man stands in the middle of the alley, rain streaming down his face, blood mixing with the water. He pulls a smartphone from his pocket and raises it toward the car. A flash, he's taking her photo, taking her license plate. Emma drives faster than the city streets allow, the Toyota's frame rattling around her. The precipitation blurs everything into a watery painting of red lights and gray buildings. By the time she reaches her apartment, her hands are numb. Emma sits at her kitchen table at 4:30 a.m., a high-powered jeweler's loupe pressed to her eye. The microfilm is taped to a light box she salvaged from her photography days. Back when she used to shoot weddings, back when the worst thing that could happen was a bride with cold feet. The light box hums. The microfilm glows. Blueprints appear. Names, coordinates, a facility. The specifications are written in precise block letters. Every document is labeled Larkspur Foundation, Confidential Research Division. She types the coordinates into a GIS mapping software on her laptop. 45.5234 degree N, 122.6 degree W. The screen pings, showing a facility beneath the abandoned Portland silos on the industrial side of the Willamette River. Laboratory. The word flashes in yellow on the screen. Emma leans back in her chair, her coffee mug growing cold beside the light box. They're not just missing, she says to the empty apartment. They're being kept. Her phone vibrates. The notification appears on her screen. An email from Lily V. Subject line: Did you get the message? Stay away, Em. Lily Vance. Emma's best friend since childhood. Inseparable until college, when Lily went to medical school and Emma went to the police academy. They'd reconnected 3 years ago at a coffee shop on Belmont Street. Lily had just moved back to Portland. She'd gotten a position at the Larkspur Foundation as a clinical director. Emma had been so happy to see her. The email continues. I'm serious. Do not do anything stupid. This is bigger than you understand. Bigger than both of us. If you come looking for answers, you'll regret it. I mean this as your friend. The Larkspur family crest, a stylized bird in flight, appears as the avatar for the email sender. Emma stares at it for a long time, the image blurring as her eyes unfocus. She doesn't respond. Instead, she pulls up the GIS map again. The coordinates. The facility beneath the silos. She's going to see what's down there. The Portland silos are skeletal structures from a different era, concrete towers rising out of the industrial waterfront like monuments to a dead economy. Emma slides through a rusted gap in the corrugated iron wall at 5:15 a.m. just as the first suggestion of dawn is starting to gray the eastern sky. Her boots crunch on broken glass inside. The smell of ozone and bleach fills the air, sharp, chemical, wrong. Steam rises from a vent in the floor, curling around her calves. A man in a tactical vest steps out from behind a concrete pillar. He swings a collapsible baton, the metal telescoping with a sharp clack. The movement is professional. Practiced. Emma ducks. The baton whistles past her ear, so close she can hear the air compress around it. She grabs a heavy industrial wrench from a nearby workbench and swings upward, driving the metal into the attacker's wrist. The baton clatters to the ground. Emma doesn't wait. She doesn't assess. She moves. Predator logic. A second attacker tackles her from behind. They both crash through a glass partition, a massive, industrial-grade sheet that shatters on impact. The sound is enormous, deafening. Shards rain down like diamonds as their bodies hit concrete. Agony blooms across Emma's ribs. One of the shards catches her palm, drawing blood that runs hot down her wrist. She uses the jagged piece to slice the attacker's arm. The effect is immediate. He screams and lets go. Emma scrambles up, blood dripping from her palm, mixing with the ozone and bleach. She bolts toward a heavy steel door labeled Section B in fading yellow paint. Behind her, the attacker is on his feet again, moving through the dust and glass shards, but she's already through the door and slamming it shut. Her breath comes in ragged gasps. The room beyond the door is filled with rows of glass cylinders. Inside each one, a person floats in neon green fluid. The liquid glows with a bioluminescent pulse that makes the entire room feel underwater. Life support machines hum and chirp and beep, a mechanical orchestra of preservation. Emma moves through the rows slowly, her injured hand held against her chest. In the third tank, she finds her sister. Sarah looks exactly as she did 10 years ago. Same sharp cheekbones, same dark hair. Except the hair is longer now, floating in the green fluid like seaweed. A breathing mask covers her mouth. Her eyes are closed. She looks peaceful in the way that the dead look peaceful, which is to say, she looks like she's not there at all. Beside the tank, a digital readout displays Sarah Lincoln, Preservation Batch 3, Viable. Emma's hands are shaking. She reaches toward the glass, her palm leaving a bloody print as she touches the cylinder. She moves to a central desk covered in tablets. She swipes through the files. Every patient log, every subject designation, every preservation date. All of them signed by the same person, Dr. Lillian Vance. Beside the tablet lies a photograph. Polaroid. The colors faded and yellowed by time. A corner of it is burned. Emma picks it up with her uninjured hand. It's her and Lily as children, maybe 8 or 9 years old. They're holding something between them. A braided friendship bracelet, the kind kids make from embroidery floss. On the back, in childish handwriting, Friends Forever. A shadow falls over the desk. Emma turns. Lily is standing in the doorway, wearing a pristine white lab coat. In her right hand is a silenced pistol. She looks remarkably calm, the way a surgeon looks calm holding a scalpel. "I told you to stay away, Em," Lily says, and her voice is soft, melodic, terrifying. "This is for the greater good." Emma bolts for the stairs. Behind her, the crack of a silenced shot. Not loud, but definite, a sound like a hammer striking wood. The bullet grazes her shoulder, tearing fabric and skin. She's up the stairs and through a corridor and pushing through a heavy door that opens onto the silo's interior ladder system. Metal rungs stretch upward into darkness. She climbs without thinking, her injured palm burning as she grips each rung. Behind her, Lily's voice echoes up through the shaft. "You can't escape from here, Emma. There's nowhere to go." Emma keeps climbing. The rooftop hatch is rusted shut. She drives her shoulder into it once, twice, and on the third impact, it gives way with a shriek of tortured metal. She bursts onto the rooftop into a gale-force wind. Rain blinds her. She slips on the slick tar paper, her nails tearing as she grips the edge of the roof. The wind tries to tear her away from the surface, and for a moment, suspended between the earth and sky, Emma understands how small she is, how easily the world can erase you. She scrambles to her feet. Lily emerges from the hatch, her lab coat flapping like a ghost's shroud. Behind her, 2 armed men fan out on the rooftop. They move with military precision, surrounding Emma on 3 sides. "There's no one to call?" Lily shouts over the wind. "You're the dispatcher, Emma. Who's coming for you?" Lightning flashes across the sky, illuminating the entire rooftop in stark white light. For a moment, everything is shadowless and clear. Emma lunges at the nearest guard. She slams her forehead into his nose. The crunch is sickening, bone breaking bone. She grabs his belt and uses his momentum to throw him over her hip onto the wet tar. He lands hard, the air leaving his lungs in a gasp, and doesn't get up. The second guard swings a collapsible baton. Emma sidesteps, the metal whistling past her ear. She drives the base of her palm into his chin, snapping his head back. He staggers. Lily steps forward, pressing the gun barrel to Emma's temple. Emma is on her knees now, the rain running down her face. Lily leans in, whispering into her ear, her voice intimate and cruel. "Your parents didn't lose Sarah, Emma," Lily says. "They sold her. To us. To save you." The words don't make sense at first. Emma's mind rejects them the way a body rejects poison. But then, a memory. Flash. She's 6 years old, sick in a hospital bed with some bacterial infection that could have killed her. The antibiotics cost money the family didn't have. Her parents are in the hallway, and she can see them through the doorway. They're crying while shaking a man's hand. The Larkspur's father, and the man is handing them an envelope thick with cash. Emma's hands go limp in the puddles. The rain falls harder, and she can taste blood in her mouth. But she's not sure if it's hers or the guards or both. "We were going to thank you," Lily continues, her voice almost sad. "Sarah is a marvel in preservation. 10 years, and she's barely aged. Her genetic markers are perfect for the next phase. We're starting human trials for cellular regeneration. Your sacrifice meant something, Emma. It meant everything." Emma doesn't move. She barely breathes. 2 guards wrap zip ties around Emma's wrists. The plastic bites into her skin, turning her fingers purple. They drag her back toward the hatch, her boots scraping against the tar. The sky is turning gray now, that deep pre-dawn gray that comes before the light. Lily checks her watch. 6:20 a.m. She looks at the horizon. A black helicopter is approaching through the mist, its silhouette skeletal against the lightening sky. Red and green navigation lights cut through the gray. "Process her," Lily says to the guards, her voice flat and administrative. She goes in the next batch. Sarah needs a family reunion. They drag Emma down through the hatch, through the corridors, into a processing room on the 3rd floor. It's clinical and white and sterile. Banks of cabinets line the walls. A metal chair sits in the center, bolted to the floor. They sit her down and secure her to the chair using more zip ties. 1 around each wrist, 1 around each ankle. The plastic digs in, the circulation cutting off incrementally. Then they leave. A single guard stands by the door, watching, mechanical as a robot. Emma slumps in the chair, her vision tunneling. She's been awake for over 4 hours. She's been beaten and shot at, and her entire understanding of her childhood has been shattered into pieces that don't fit back together. But then, something catches her eye. On a table across the room sits a tactical radio. Her tactical radio. The one she uses during dispatch shifts. The one with the emergency override code programmed into it by a 5-digit sequence that only certified dispatchers know. Emma's eyes dart to the guard. He's looking at his phone, bored, mechanical. She finds a sharp pin in her jacket lapel. A small security pin, the kind they use to mark evidence bags. Using her bound teeth, she pulls it out. It takes 3 minutes, 5 minutes. The guard doesn't notice. She shimmy kicks the table. The radio falls and skitters across the floor, stopping a foot away from the metal chair. Emma presses her foot onto the device. Using her toes, years of ballet and childhood have given her control most people lack. She presses the 5-digit sequence into the emergency override button. What happens next isn't subtle. A piercing, 140 decibel siren explodes from the radio, a sound engineered to cut through walls and steel and concrete. The guard's hands fly to his ears. His face contorts in agony. He's on his knees, tears streaming down his face, unable to move, unable to function. The siren fills the entire facility. Emma's teeth are around the zip tie around her wrist. She chews it like an animal, working the plastic with her molars. The edge frays, the plastic thins. With one final desperate pull, the tie breaks. Her hands are free. She's through the door and running toward the laboratory. The siren is still blasting, the frequency so high and so loud that it's like the building is screaming. Every guard she passes is incapacitated, hands over their ears, unable to see or respond or stop her. She reaches the lab. The cylinders are still there. Sarah is still floating in the green fluid, still peaceful, still preserved. Emma grabs a fire extinguisher from the wall and drives it into the control panel for Sarah's tank. The glass shatters, fractures spiderweb across the surface, and then the entire front of the cylinder gives way. A wall of green liquid rushes out, carrying Sarah's body with it. Emma catches her sister. feels the cold shock of the preservation fluid soaking into her clothes, feels her sister's skin and muscle and bone and life. Sarah gasps and coughs. Her eyes open for the first time in 10 years. She's awake. She's alive. She's here. Lily bursts into the lab, screaming. She's holding a heavy metal clipboard, and she swings it at Emma with the force of someone who has nothing left to lose, except the ability to win. Emma ducks. She drives the base of the fire extinguisher into Lily's stomach, then sprays the white foam directly into her face. Lily's scream becomes a choking sound. Her vision whites out. She can't see. She can't breathe. She's drowning in chemical extinguisher foam while standing in the middle of her own laboratory. Emma doesn't wait to see what happens next. She picks Sarah up. Her sister is weak, barely able to stand, her muscles atrophied from a decade of preservation, and half carries, half drags her toward the exit. Behind them, the siren is still blasting. The facility is chaos. Guards are stumbling through corridors with hands over their ears. Machines are overloading. The preservation tanks, without their control panels, are failing one by one. Emma and Sarah reach the exterior door just as the first fire alarm system activates automatically, triggered by the power surges. Water begins to spray from the ceiling. They're outside. The rain is still falling. The sky is starting to turn pink at the edges. The police arrive at 7:30 a.m. as the sun breaks through the clouds for the first time in 2 days. They arrive with sirens and lights and the weight of authority that comes with having been called by someone on the inside, one of their own. It turns out that the siren Emma triggered activated not just the facility's security system, but also a silent alarm connected to the Portland Police Department. A 911 dispatcher triggering an emergency override sequence. That's not protocol. That's a hostage situation. That's a code requiring immediate tactical response. They arrive with SWAT teams and FBI liaisons and questions that Emma can barely answer through shock and exhaustion and grief. Emma sits on the back of an ambulance at 7:45 a.m., a shock blanket around her shoulders. Sarah is beside her, breathing into an oxygen mask, her skin still tinged slightly green from the preservation fluid. The medics are running IV lines and checking vitals and speaking in urgent, professional tones. The Larkspur family is being led away in zip ties. Lily is in handcuffs, her face blotchy and swollen from the foam exposure, her eyes vacant. She doesn't look at Emma as she's loaded into a police van. "It's over, Sarah," Emma says, though her sister can't really hear her through the oxygen mask. "We're going home." The words feel strange in her mouth. Going home. As if home is still a place that exists. As if the revelation that her parents traded her sister's life for Emma's won't follow them back through the door of whatever remains of their childhood home. Emma reaches into her jacket pocket. The blood-stained pendant is still there, somehow intact through everything. She pulls it out, watching it catch the morning light. She notices a second hinge she hadn't seen before. Small, almost invisible, hidden along the side of the brass heart. She pops it open. Inside is a photograph. Color, not faded, recent. A man in a dispatcher's uniform holds an infant, Emma as a baby, maybe 3 months old. The man is smiling. He has Emma's eyes. Emma stares at the photograph. She's looking at a man she's never met, a man who isn't her father, a man whose face is familiar in a way she can't explain. On the back of the photo, someone has written 3 words in precise handwriting. She deserves better. The man in the photograph is wearing a Portland Police Department uniform. A name tag is barely visible on his chest. Lincoln. Emma looks at her sister. Sarah is watching her through the oxygen mask, her eyes slowly focusing as the preservatives wear off and her mind reawakens. "Who is this?" Emma asks, holding up the photograph. Sarah doesn't answer. She can't. The drugs in her system are making everything distant and unreal. But in her eyes, Emma sees the beginning of recognition, of memory, of a story that started long before Emma was born and extends far beyond the moment of their rescue. An ambulance attendant approaches. "We need to get her to the hospital," he says, gesturing towards Sarah. Emma nods. She pockets the photograph and the pendant. She stands on legs that feel disconnected from her body, as if they belong to someone else. She follows her sister into the ambulance. The doors close. The siren begins to wail. The city moves past the small window as they drive through the morning light, toward whatever comes next. Behind them, the Portland silos rise against the dawn sky. Skeletal structures now cordoned with police tape. Silent monuments to the fact that the world contains depths most people will never know exist. Emma takes Sarah's hand. Her sister's skin is cold and webbed with the faint marks of preservation equipment. But it's real. It's solid. It's there. That will have to be enough. For now, that will have to be everything.